The pen works. Journal's open. Jamil, PowerPoint for the previous class.
Oh, you need that?
Because we're not done. Pen work. Journal's open. So you gotta close this window because it's playing somewhere here. You can close this one. Jamil, and PowerPoint for the previous class. And you can close this too. There we go. And still on, yeah. Where? Go up. Yeah, that's open.
I think that sound is actually pretty good.
But just check it anyway. Just in case. Test. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Welcome to the second class of Arabic, and congratulations on surviving the first class. Alhamdulillah. That's not too scary. But let's continue where we left off. We left off at the tashdid, or the shadda. How many of you got to practice the homework last time? Got all the homework done from last class? Very good, mashallah. So that means you got good signs coming up. So the shadda, or the tashdid, is basically this doubling sign which kind of doubles the consonant and doubles the letter. So what happens in Arabic is you're not supposed to be writing two consecutive letters in a row. You will not generally find this. So take a look at this, for example. Makkah-tu. See the kaf with the sukoon and then a kaf with the vowel. You will not find this in Arabic. So what happens is whenever you want to write something like this, you want to have a letter with no vowel, and then a letter, the same letter with a vowel. You're going to find that what you do is, instead of writing it like this, you write one letter one time and you write this little scene, almost like a scene looking thing. The first part of it, the letter scene, you write that, and that's called a shadda, or it's called tashdid. And you write that, and then you write the vowel on top. So this example, Makkah-tu. You get a mak sound and then a ka-tu sound. This actually is written this way and has the exact same sound, Makkah-tu. So all you do is you write this little thing which actually doubles the letter. So it's not difficult to actually write it. Let's practice one with you. So if I wanted to write, let's say the word shadda. Even the word shadda itself has a shadda in it. So the word shadda. So the way you would normally write it is this. Sheen, shad, shadda, right? Why is this pronounced like a ha? Shadda. Because it's preceded by a fatha? That has nothing to do with it. Because it's a closed ta. So closed ta is always going to sound like a ha. Always sounds like a ha? No. What's the rule? Well, I heard it. It has a sukoon on it. So when the closed ta has a sukoon, then it sounds like a ha. That's the only case, right? So the word shadda, right, should actually be written like this, with obviously better writing. Write this little thing like this. Just make that little scene looking thing. And then you put the fatha, and that represents, so this combination of letters right here represents this. Right? So that's exactly what you do. So if you say, I want to write 2 letters in a row, I have a ba with the sukoon and a ba with the fatha. How do I write that? B, b, and b. What I'm going to write it like this: shadda, fatha on top. Simple as that. What if I change this and if I make it kasra? B, B. What do? I simply write the ba, put the shadda, but instead I put the kasra here. I put the kasra here, right? And if I wanted to make it sukoon, dhamma, write the ba, the little shadda sign, dhamma, boo. Gives you the sound of boo. So you hold it for a few seconds, like a second. You go boo. Because actually you can't, there's no way you can say boo and then boo. So you don't lift up your lips. You keep it together. You say boo. Shadda. Makkah. You hold it. Ka. Right? Makkah. Shadda. Right? That's exactly what you're doing here. Now there's one other thing to note. There's one exception here. When you have a kasra, in modern day writing, what they do is when they're going to write the shadda and they want to put a kasra, it's so much easier to just put the kasra underneath the shadda sign. And even though you say, well, it's above the letter, right? The shadda, if it's below the shadda, it actually represents a kasra. And if it's above the shadda, like this, it represents a fatha. Exactly. Now, why do you think they do this? Why would anyone in their right mind do this? Because look how you write. You write the ba like this, and then the dot comes after, right, when you're writing. Then you move your pen up, you write the shadda next. Now can you imagine, if you wanted to write the kasra, you have to move your pen all the way down here. Look at all that effort. Instead of moving your pen all the way down, you simply just write it right there, and that's exactly what became the common standard in modern day Arabic. So that the Arabs have time for other important things in their lives, right? So that's exactly why you have it written underneath the shadda. Okay, so that's what it is. That's the way the shadda works. So what you do is we want to read the following out loud. Now we don't want to give it away. We don't want you to just listen to what other people are saying. So we do the same thing we're going to do last time. You whisper it to yourself and see if you're pronouncing it correctly. So look at number 1. Look at this one. And try to pronounce it, see if you can pronounce that correctly. Look at the shadda, and notice there's a tanween there, huh? It's a dhamma, it's 2 dhammas, tanween. Remember with tanween, you add a noon, with sukoon, that noon, that un, or in sound. So remember, this has to have one of those sounds, and it's gonna have that holding sound, which is the shadda sound. So say it to yourself for a moment. If you're not sure, you think it could be this, it could be that, I want you to say both of them in your mind. I want you to whisper both of them to yourself. If you have 3 options and you're really confused, say all 3 options and see if you got at least one of them right. Right? So go try it now. Okay, now let's check your progress. It should be Rabbun. Rabbun. Who got that correct? Pretty good. Okay, so those who didn't, more effort on the second one. Okay, so is any questions on why it's Rabbun? Does anyone have any question? Well, why didn't I get Rabbun? Was it too small, or was it some other issue? Let's try the second one. What? You want to magnify it? Okay, let's magnify. There we go. Now would you have gotten it right? Maybe. All right, let's try number 2. Number 2, say it to yourself. All the different possibilities, combinations that you can think of. By the way, I'll tell you the letters. That's one of those ligatures in the font. So it's Noon, Fatha, Ba, kasra, ya with the shadda, and the two kasras, tanween, underneath. Okay, so let's start piece by piece. The first piece is na. Na. Who got that part right? By now you should try at least be getting that part right. It's na. The second one is B. Na, B. Okay, moving on. You hold the ya. Yi, yin. Yin. So this is actually nabiyin. So it's actually a long vowel. This is kind of tricky actually. It's a long vowel. So what you're saying is, imagine there was a sukoon here. Let's take the shadda away for a moment. Imagine you put a circle here. This is gone. Okay, I'm going to cover it up with the arrow. It's gone now. What word would you get? Nabi. Because long vowel, right? When you have a kasra followed by a ya and a sukoon, you get a long vowel. E. So it's nabi. So once you have the nabi down, you add the shadda with the two kasras, and you get nabiyin. Nabiyin. Who got that correct? Okay, so we need a little bit of practice here. That's fine. Let's do this one. This one should be a little bit easier. All right, try to do this one in your mind. All right. So the first one, first letter is ja. Ja. Who got the ja right? Either sisters don't like to raise their hand, or there's something going on. Really didn't know ja? We didn't get the ja either? No, I'm serious. This is, you got the ja? You just didn't raise your hand, no? Okay. Okay. If we don't got the ja, just let me know, because then we need to, work on that. What's next? Na. Na. Because it's shadda. Na. So we get Jannah. Jannah. So we see how we hold that? So that's actually noon sukoon and then another noon with the fatha. Jannah. Jannah. And then there's a ta with two fathas. Tanween, right? So that's a tan. Tan. So we get Jannatan. Jannatan. And this will just come with, it'll come with practice, don't worry. You have the entire weekend to practice this. Okay? Let's do the next one. This is something that most people should get, but I'll tell you what the first letter is. I know that's another ligature. You're not going to use this in writing. That's a meme with a dhamma and then a ha with the fatha. Meme, ha, meme, dal. Right? Dhamma, fatha, shadda with fatha, and dhamma tanween, double dhamma, dhammatain. Alright, so try to figure this one out. You really should know this one. I'll give you a hint. So this one, if you accepted Islam, you have at least said this word several times in your life. Alright. In fact, you say it on a daily basis. So, okay. So let's try. What is it? Muhammadun. Muhammadun. That's the name of the Prophet. Peace be upon him. Muhammadun. So you see the hamma. You hold the meme. Mma. Mma. Alright? Who got that one? Okay. If the sisters didn't raise it this time, I would get this side, I know you got it. Alright. Next one. Try this one. Kaf, dhamma, ku. Lam, shadda, dhamma, tanween. Double dhamma. Kullun. 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 Okay, don't worry, you will have a lot of practice with these. So don't worry too much. If you need some more practice, you will get more practice, don't worry. So let's move on. Any questions on the shadda? That's something that's unclear about it? Why does it look like a scene or something like that? Yes.
When you got it doubled, but like from back here, it's really hard to tell that there's two of anything. When you're actually reading, are those the markings more clear?
In terms of like size-wise, or
Well,
it's just hard to read it. You're saying, or because it's too small? Is that why? Even with the magnifier? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, when you have it right in front of you, it's a lot more clear. So if you print out the slides.
I don't see it here either, so I'm maybe need glasses.
Okay. Are you farsighted or nearsighted?
Both.
You're both. Okay. Yeah. Usually it can see. What you can do though is we can, if you need to, just ask me. We can enlarge the font for you so that it's larger, and then we can get you a printed copy like that. Just send us an email and we'll just double the size, and then you should pretty much be able to see it. Okay. All right. So moving on, we have the Hamza. So we're going to learn Hamza. Now Hamza is a letter, okay? And some people are named Hamza, right? Wrong, actually. So they are named Hamza with the ha, and this is Hamza with the ha. So there's a ha and a ha. So don't call anyone a Hamza, otherwise you're reducing them to a letter, right? But they're actually Hamza, like brother Hamza over there, mashallah. He's actually with a ha. So you got to get that ha in there. All right. So Hamza is a letter, and Hamza is a very interesting letter. It's a very complicated letter. It has a lot of history of how it was introduced. In fact, one of my teachers, either him or one of his friends, wrote his PhD thesis on the letter Hamza and its history and its origins. It shows you how deep the Hamza actually can go. We're not going to cover that much. So what you need to know is that the reason why the letter Hamza is a little bit interesting. Let me tell you which letter it is. It's this letter right here. So let me just magnify it for you. This one right here, under the arrow, that little sign is a Hamza. It's like a Ain almost, that's been severed from the bottom. Like ninja sword, just sliced in half, and you get the upper half. Okay, so that's what a Hamza is right there. So why is a Hamza so interesting, and why is it so difficult and complicated and everything? Because Hamza actually, it doesn't just come in this form, it comes in several forms. And usually what a Hamza does, it can come on top of another letter or below another letter. So the Hamza actually can be on top of an alif, it can be below the alif, it can be on top of a waw, and it can be on top of a ya. Okay? So that's the Hamza. It usually sits on a letter, right? Or in the case of alif, it can sit below the letter as well. Okay? So this is why you don't know exactly which form the Hamza is going to come in. This letter takes different shapes. So it'll either come in shape 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. For now, for beginning students, all you need to know is that these are the 5 shapes of the Hamza. Don't worry about learning all the rules of why they come and how they come and all of that. You will learn this later. So what I recommend you do is before you finish this class, you go back to this preliminary chapter and you look at what this other chart is trying to tell you. But just to briefly go through it, when the Hamza is in the initial form, meaning it's the first letter of a word, it's gonna either be above alif when it has a fatha, above an alif when it has a dhamma, below the alif when it has a kasra. So that's the form it's going to come when it's the first letter in a word. When the Hamza is in its medial form, meaning it's in the middle of a word, it's going to either come on top of a alif, or on top of a waw, or on top of a ya. See this? This is actually a ya without the 2 dots. So it can come on top of a ya without 2 dots, and that's a Hamza. And in the final form, it can come on top of a alif, on top of a waw, on top of a ya, or on top of, or by itself. So it can come in almost any one of these 4 forms. So there's 5 forms of the Hamza. You don't need to learn when to put which form. What you need to know is recognize when you see a Hamza and what you do with it. So what is the sound of a Hamza? The Hamza makes a sound. All right, makes a sound. So if you put a fatha on top of the Hamza, you get a. If you put a dhamma, you get a u. If you put a kasra, you get a e. So you get a, u, and e. What if you have a sukoon? You just get this sound. Right? It's almost like when you say oh, it's the that's called the glottal stop. You're not going to be tested on the name of that, but it's called a glottal stop in grammar. So what we need to do is we need to look at just learning how to read some of these words with the hamza. So let's do this. Let's do the first two together. Okay. So remember, I said it just has the sound. Don't worry what it's written on. There's a hamza there. You see the hamza and you see a fatha. We need to figure out what to do. So what do? We say hamza with the fatha makes a sound of Okay, what's this? A ra with the what on it? Sukoon. So we get and then dad with a tanween, dhamma, tanween, right? We get dun. So this word becomes ardun. Okay, that's the word. Let's try this one. I'll take your question after this. Sin, mim, alif, hamza. So we get sa. Mim actually has a fatha on it, right? Sa, and this is a long vowel. Ma, right? Sama, u. Sama, u. Right? So what I want you to do is I want you to practice the rest of these. Some of them will be your homework. Practice these three, and the rest will be your homework. How to pronounce. Oh, we did sama actually. So three left here. Okay. So there's a question here first. You have a question? This question, yeah. Who had a question here? I saw a question. He's gone. Yeah.
Sama'u or sama'u?
Sama'u.
Stop. Short stop.
No, it's u. It has a dhamma. Sama'u. U. So it's a dhamma, yeah. If you were gonna stop with the sukoon, you'd say sama. You just stop your breath. Sama. Okay, so let's try this one. So try this by yourself. So that's a hamza with a sukoon on it. Remember, don't look at the waw. Think of a hamza as a colonizing force. Okay, maybe a more just colonizer, but a colonizing. It literally sits on top of the letter and it just takes it over. The letter has no function. It's just sitting there. So you see the waw. You do not pronounce the waw at all. The hamza is literally taken over that letter completely. Okay.
I guess that was my question. Like, is it sama'u or
sama'u? Sama'u. Yeah. If it had a waw and it became a long vowel, then it would be sama'u. I could do that. But here, try this one. Mim, dhamma, hamza, sukoon, mim, kasra, noon, double kasra. So say it to yourself. Try it. Remember, when the hamza has a sukoon, it's like that stop. It's the part. You connect it with the previous vowel. So let's try it. Mu'minin. 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 Right? Mu'minin. Yes. Number 6. Oh, this one right here. You want me to pronounce it or? Okay, it's ha'ula'i. Ha'ula'i. It's in your notes when you download the notes. The footnote number 6. I'll read to you what it actually means. It means that, see this little vertical symbol going up and down? All right, that's called a standing fatha. So the fatha is supposed to be like this, right? So this is like it's standing straight up. So what that actually indicates is that it's a long vowel without having to write an alif after it. So it just has the sound of ha, not just ha, but ha. We'll see this again in chapter 1. We'll see it coming up next. I'll explain it again. Let's focus on this one though. So mu'minin. Try this one. This should be an easier one. Right? Hamza, colonizing the alif, so we don't care about the alif. Right, we will, protest for it and try to liberate it later. Right now, it's colonized. So, hamza, fatha, Ba, two dhammas. Bun, abun, abun. Okay, and try this one. We got a shadda in there, a little bit trickier. The one where my arrow is. Yeah. You can see my head. Oh. How's that? There you go. Next to the magnifying glass. So if anyone would like to donate to installing 2 giant screen TVs here, you are welcome to email us, inshallah, so that my head will not be in the way anymore. Okay, so let's try this one. Ummun. Ummun. Right? Ummun. Okay. So the rest is homework. And you see some interesting ones here, like this last one. See if you could do this last one by yourself. Remember one thing. So not all you don't see all the vowels here. Okay, now let me remind you why you don't see all the vowels. There's a few rules that we've learned actually. I may not have clarified this rule so much, but whenever you have a round ta, before it, you'll always get which letter? I mean, which vowel would you always get before it? Fatha. You'll always have a fatha before the round ta. That's a rule. There's another rule. If you ever see any letter which has a dhamma on it, and after it comes a waw, it will always be a long vowel. Right? So that means, let me explain to you what that means. Let's remove the magnifier here. Okay. That means if I write this, okay, even this is also another rule. So if I have a fatha followed by an alif, I get a long vowel, right? The rule here is, with these long vowels, you only form the long vowel when it has a fatha before it, right? The rule is, whenever you see an alif and there's a letter preceded by it, it cannot be anything else except the fatha. This does not exist in Arabic. You cannot have a dhamma and then an alif coming afterwards. You just can't pronounce it. This does not exist in Arabic, right? So if you said like bit, that exists in Arabic, but this alif, it has to have a kasra coming before it. It has to. Sorry, fatha, yes. It has to have a fatha coming before it. Okay, so that's how you know that it's going to be the case. Okay, that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that whenever you see a long vowel, like for example, you see boo, right? This can be 2 options. It can be boo, it can be bow, right? Can it be biu? Yes or no? Can't. Right? It cannot. This does not exist in Arabic, so you don't need to worry about it. Right? So you know it's going to be one of these 2. Usually it's going to be which one? If you had to take a guess, which one is more common? No, dhamma, because long vowels are formed regularly. You need a lot of long vowels in your language, so that's the reason. Okay, and the same thing if you had b. You can also get bay, right? But can you get bui? Right? You can't. So it doesn't exist. And if you had to guess, if you didn't know which vowel was on it, which one would you guess? You guessed the long vowel, because long vowels are very important in Arabic. They're more common than the diphthong. So that's just something to keep in mind. So here, by the way, so I didn't put all the letters, but what you have here is, you see meme with the dhamma, long vowel, so mu. Noon with the ya, long vowel, ni. Ha with the alif, long vowel, ha. So this is al-tumuniha, but that's your homework. So pretend like you didn't hear that, because I just gave you the answer. All right, any questions on the Hamza? All you need to know is 5 forms. If you see this, this or that, it's a hamza. You need to know how it sounds. When the hamza is on the bottom, by the way, it's a kasra. So look, read this one. Who can read this one together? Hamza, kasra, mim, alif with fatha, right? And mim with tanween. Imamun. Imamun. Hopefully you know what that means. Right? Imam is the imam, right? The leader of the, either the leader of the prayer or a scholar in the community. Imamun. All right. Moving on. Hamzatul wasl. So now we learn a second type of hamza. We say, well, we already learned enough hamzas already. There's another type of hamza. It's called wasla or hamzatul wasl. It has two names. Wasla is the shorter name. So this is a little bit tricky concept, but it's not too tricky. So look, in Arabic, words are not supposed to begin with two consonants in a row. In Arabic, you don't start with two consonants. So I want you to read this, right? Ba, sukun, noon, two dhammas. How would you read this? Bunun, bunun, right? So you start with the letter with the sukun, and then you have another letter coming on, moving on. You're not supposed to do that in Arabic because it's just difficult to pronounce. It just doesn't feel right. So that's why. And Arabic is not the only language. So if you look at Urdu, you look at Persian, you look at perhaps Turkish, perhaps some other languages, they do the same thing. That's why you find people saying different things. So in English, we do this all the time. I'll give you an example of an English word where we start with the sukun. Look at the word special. Where is the sukun? This is sukun on the S, on the scene, right? And then pe. Then comes the vowel, right? Special, special. And that's why you find if you ever hear an Arab or a Desi from India or Pakistan, whenever they're saying this word, they don't say special, they say is special. Because they have to add a vowel in the beginning. That's the way we have to do. They say, you know what? Where are you going? I'm going to school. I'm not going to school, I'm going to school. Because they have to have a vowel, they cannot start with the sukun. Have you noticed that? Right? You've noticed that, right? It's very, very common. Whenever you see an Arab or you see a Desi speaking, they'll do that, right? Or sometimes there's a new thing. Arabs will actually do this. So what they'll do is they'll add a vowel. So when they want to say this word, they say problem, right? So you just add a vowel and you get problem, but they can't pronounce a P, so they make it B, right? So problem. This is a very big problem, brother, right? This is what you find. Even the word brother, right? That's a sukun, right? Brother. So they say brother, right? Why? Because you gotta have a vowel. They need the vowel there. They cannot start with the sukun. So this is a good way to remember this rule. So here in Arabic, you're not supposed to start with the sukun. So here's the rule. So the binnun, right? You cannot start with the sukun. So what do? You do exactly what the average Arab does today. Instead of saying special, you say is special. You just add a I. So you add a little alif with the kasra underneath. Actually, this is a hamza with the kasra, so you get the sound I. So instead of saying special, you say is special. Instead of saying bunun, you say ibnun. So you just add a I. That's it. You add the I sound and then you give the rest of the word there. So this is what's known as hamzatul wasl. So hamzatul wasl is this additional hamza that you throw in there in order to prevent you from having to start with a sukun on a consonant. That's the reason for the hamzatul wasl. So what's the difference between the hamzatul wasl and the regular one? Well, number one, it's there for a specific purpose. It's added for a reason. And number two, you don't see the hamza sign on it, so that you don't get confused and you think it's a real letter. Hamza is a real letter. This is a letter you just threw in there for pronunciation purposes. Right? So that's the way hamzatul wasl actually works, and that's the reason why it's there in the first place. So because of this hamzatul wasl being there, you have a few things to take into consideration. So let me explain these things to you. There's two rules you really need to understand about the hamzatul wasl. So whenever you have hamzatul wasl at the beginning of a sentence, or whenever you start reading after you're pausing, you're going to pronounce it as if it's a hamza. So we just saw this example, right? Sukoon, nun, I. So you see this? Ibnun, ibnun. So you pronounce this. This is hamzatul wasl here. You pronounce it. You say I. So ibnun. But here's the thing. If you're starting the beginning of a sentence, you're going to say ibnun. But if you're in the middle of a sentence and you're reading, what you're going to do is, imagine I wanted to say ibnun twice. I'll just write it like this. Okay, I want to say it twice in a row. I want to say ibnun, ibnun. You know what's going to happen? It's not the best example. Let me remove the un. Okay, I want to say ibnu, ibnu. Okay, what you're going to do is, if you're in the middle of a sentence, you're going to say ibnu, ibnubnu. You don't pronounce this. This is as if it's not being pronounced at all. You skip it. So basically what you do is you skip reading the hamzatul wasl whenever you're in the middle of a sentence. Now think about for a moment, why would you do that? Because the hamzatul wasl's only purpose is so that you don't start with the sukoon. If you have this ba with the sukoon in the middle of a sentence and prior to it, what do you have? You have a vowel. There is a vowel. So this gives you the sound of u connects with the b. So you get ub, ub. So you already have a vowel. You don't have to start with the sukoon. So there's no need for the hamzatul wasl. So you leave it in writing, but you don't pronounce it. I'm going to give you a better example in case you're not following here. So let me give you this example. Okay, let's read this one together. This is a hamzatul wasl with a fatha this time instead of a kasra. Al baytu, right? And if you read this, imagine these were two separate words. Okay, what would you read here? Al kabiru. So if you see these as two separate words, you will read al-baytu al-kabiru. If you take away this line that I just drew, right, and you read it as one sentence, the way you're going to read it is al-baytul kabiru, and you skip this hamzatul wasl right here. You skip it completely. Why? Because this lam with the sukoon that was a problem has a vowel preceding it. And it solves the problem. So you don't need to even pronounce this new thing anymore. You leave it in writing, but you don't need to pronounce it. So when you're pronouncing these as two separate words, you say al-baytu al-kabiru. When you're pronouncing it together in one sentence without stopping your breath, you say al-baytul kabiru. That's all the hamzatul wasl rules that you need to know. In fact, that's everything you really need to know about a hamzatul wasl. So it's almost as if this alif is not there in pronunciation, but it still exists in writing. So here's the rule to summarize. You only pronounce the hamzatul wasl either at the beginning of the sentence, or if you run out of breath and you're restarting pronouncing something, and you start from the beginning again. So let's say you're reading this long thing. Let's say you're reading this 3 times in a row. You're saying al-baytul kabiru, al-baytul kabiru, al-baytul kabiru. And you want to say that and you run out of breath. You say al-baytul kabiru, al-baytu al-kabiru, al-baytul kabiru, al-baytul kabiru, al-baytul kabir. So as soon as you restart your breath or you begin a sentence, you're going to say the In the middle of the sentence, you skip it and you just go straight to the sukoon letter. Okay? And you'll get practice with this in an hour. Okay, so don't worry if it's not following. But let's take a look at some examples. So here's the homework examples from that. Let me magnify this again for you. So I'm going to go over some of these with you. It's quite simple. So let's just read. All right. So that's a hamzatul wasl. I give you the vowel that's on it. You don't need to try to connect it or anything. So in this example, we're going to read im ra a tun. Imra'atun. Right? Imra'atun. Okay. Next example. This one you should be able to get now, because we just saw something very, very similar to it. Right? Remember, I'll show you where we saw it. We saw it right there. Slight difference, right? So go back, try to read this to yourself. The second one, right? Ibnin. 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 Yeah? Okay, let's try this next one. That's a hamzatul wasl, that's a sin, and that's a meme, and then an alif. It's one of those ligatures. Sin, meme, alif. Is man. Is man. Right? Is man. Let's try one more. Let's try that one. Al yawma. Al yawma. Yeah? Al yawma. One more. Let's do this one right here. Get the magnifying glass away from you. Hamza, Dhamma, Noon, Sukun, Sad, Dhamma, Ra. Unsur. Unsur. Okay? Actually, those were the easy ones. Okay, so let's do some actual practice on the skipping. Let's do two more of these actually. So see this one? Where is the hamzatul wasl in this? Which letter? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Which one? I heard the right answer. 2. The second position, this one right here. So fa is the first letter. Hamzatul wasl is right here. Because you see no hamza sign, right? So actually you wouldn't expect, I wouldn't expect you to know that. So I'm telling you. So I'm telling you the second letter is hamzatul wasl, because you might thought if it's a long vowel, right? Fa. It's not. So I'm telling you that the second letter is a hamzatul wasl. Okay, that alif is a hamzatul wasl. Now that you know it is, it's not a long vowel. So what do you do when the hamzatul wasl is in the middle of a word? Very simple. What do? You skip it. Exactly. You skip it. So whenever the hamzatul wasl is in the middle of a word, you skip it. Is it in the middle of a word? Yes. So you're going to skip it. So how do you pronounce this? Faktub. Faktub. Okay? Try this one. Where is the hamzatul wasl? It's right here. This alif is the hamzatul wasl, I'm telling you. And don't worry about how I know that, how you know that. I'm telling you, by definition. So, based on that, how would you read this? Wal qalami. Wal qalami. Do one more with you and then we move on. Okay. This second letter is the hamzatul wasl here, this alif. So we're going to skip it completely because it's in the middle, and we're going to read Bismi. Like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is exactly it. Bismi. Okay, Bismi. Alright, it's good. So we got that down. Any questions on hamzatul wasl? Yes. The what? Oh, the first one, this one? Ittakhadhtum. Ittakhadhtum. Hamzatul wasl? First letter. First letter, that's it. Yeah. Yes. It's a ta with a tashdid and then a kha. Yes, Exactly. Exactly. So some of these ligatures are confusing. Don't worry about them. If you ever have a question, just ask someone and they'll explain to you what it is. The only reason I keep this font is because if I change the font to the other one, we'd have to consistently change it throughout the entire book. And this is just the coolest looking font. So I don't want to lose the nice feel of it. So that's the only reason. All right. Okay, moving on. Any questions on wasla? Yeah. Wasl means connect. So it's the hamza of connection. So you only use it in order to connect things together. So that's the purpose. All right. Alif maqsura. Alif maqsura. Let's see, where are we? Okay. So this is a really easy one. This is a really, really easy one. So sometimes we know the alif is, right? We know the letter alif, right? So sometimes the letter alif disguises itself as a ya without the two dots, and it pretends to be a ya. It has identity issues. Okay, it's not solid in its foundation, so it pretends to be a ya sometimes, and that's all you need to know. How do you know? How do you know that there is an alif pretending to be a ya? Well, all you do is you look for the ya without two dots on it. If you see a ya without two dots, you know that that's actually an alif in disguise. And another way to know is there's going to be a fatha before it. All right, so let me show you a sample of what to make that more clear. Okay. So see this. How do you pronounce this? Sa. Long vowel, right? Sa. So in Arabic, there's another way to do this, and you write sin, ya, but you don't write the two dots, and you put a fatah here, and you get the exact same sound of sa. So well, wait a minute, shouldn't it be say, right? If you bring the two dots back, you're right. If you put two dots, it's say, because that's a real ya with the two dots. If I remove the two dots, it is an alif maqsura, an alif pretending to be a ya, but it's not. So it's sa. That's the simplest way to identify it is there's no two dots on the ya, and there's a fatha before it. So it's an alif, because alif, remember, alif always has fatha before it. Has to be. You cannot have a dhamma before an alif. You cannot have a kasra before an alif. You have to have a fatha before an alif. So you see a ya, no two dots, and a fatha before it. It's a alif maqsura. So you say sa. Simple as that. So if I write this, how do you pronounce this? I'm not even going to tell you what vowels on there. How do you pronounce this? Ba. Can it be anything else? It's the only thing it can be. How do you pronounce this? Ba. How do you pronounce this? B. How do you pronounce this? Bay. Good. There you go. Yes. This one? No. If you take it off, you have to guess which vowel is on here, right? And there can only be one vowel. There can only be one vowel. So you automatically guess it has to be a fatha, and your guess is correct. So that's all there is to the hamzatul wasl, alif maqsura. So let's just take a look at some examples. So we read mu sa, mu sa. What does that mean? Musa, Prophet Moses. Exactly. Right? This one you really should remember properly. Okay. Mustafa. Right? Mustafa. Right? So that's the name of the Prophet ﷺ as well as my name. So you really should get it down. Right? Mustafa. Probably if you get this wrong on your final, I'm probably going to dock double points. Right, for this one. Right? So this one. Remember, that is a hamza. So you forget the alif part. It's colonized. So how would you pronounce this one? Ra. Ah. Ra'a. Right? Because if there was no, if this letter didn't exist, it would be ra'a. Ra'a. But now there's alif there. So you get ra'a. Let's make it longer. Ra'a.
You cannot say raw.
Say ra, but you skip the hamza then. Yeah, you have to pronounce the hamza. Ra'a. Ra'a. Okay. Just no microphone. Where did we go? Let's do this last one here. A, la, ala, ala. It means on. We'll learn that. Ala. Very simple as that. Questions? Any questions?
One
Yeah.
clarification. What I understand, if you have a ya with two dots, you have to assume there is kasra before it. If there is nothing there.
Kasra or fatha. It could be kasra or fatha. Most probably kasra though.
Most probably. Kasra.
Most probably.
If you don't have any dots, you have to assume there is a fatha before it.
Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
there is a wow, then you have to assume there is a dhamma before it.
You assume there's a dhamma usually. Sometimes there could be a fatha as well.
But if you have to assume you
If you have to guess, you just go with the guess of long vowel. Okay. All right. Okay. Moving on. Madda. Okay. So there's something called madda, and this is a very easy one as well. Very, very easy. Even easier than the alif maksura. All madda is. See this little squiggly line here? What does this little squiggly line actually mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means. Just divide this board here. Okay. So right here, this alif with the squiggly line. It only comes on the alif. It doesn't come on any letter. You will never see this. Okay? You will never see this. Okay? This doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. This is the only one. Alif with this little curved line right there. All it represents is the sound ah. Ah. Now you say, well, why does that exist? Well, I'll tell you why. So if you have a ba with the fatha, what sound do you get? Ba. If you want to make it long, you put an alif, right? So you get ba. Okay. If you have a hamza with a fatha, this is a. If you want to make it long, what do? You have to add alif. You would say ah. But writing two alifs in a row just looks weird. So what you do, you substitute it for a weird looking squiggly line instead. And that's what Arabs do. And that's exactly why we have this squiggly line. That's all it is, as simple as that. Okay, that's the reasoning behind it. So if you want to read this, what is this sound right here? Ah, ya, tin. Ah, ya, tin. What about this one right here? That's a lam alif, remember. So al, a, khi, ra, tu. Question. Can you add an alif maqsura after an alif? So that would be a very creative way to do that. It would technically work, but just the Arabic language doesn't do that. So the thing is, remember, Arabic is, any language is about what exists rather than you being able to invent something. So let's say you are redefining the Arabic language and you belong on an Arabic council of the Arab World League. You might actually introduce that convention and it would be valid if everyone decided on it. But it just doesn't exist in the Arabic language right now. Okay, let's try this other one. A, da, mu. A, da, mu. So what does Adamu mean? Adam. Yeah, Prophet Adam. Yes.
On the akhiratun, if you have sukoon, can you read the akhirat?
Sukun where?
After kun?
Oh, if you have sukun on the ta here, yeah, it would be al-akhirah. Exactly. You got it. You got it. Yes. Yeah, that's only when you're reading Quran. Yeah. So they just put that in for the sound. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no real mud on it. Yeah, it's not grammatically. It's not there. Yeah, it's just for the tajweed rule. So you're stretching it. Any other questions? Okay, we're almost done with this. One letter words. This is even easier than what we've just covered right now. So simple thing. Any one letter word like fa, wa, I'll teach you what they mean later. If you ever take a one letter word, fa, and you add it to another word, another letter, or another word, wa, and another word, you write it together, right? So you get fa, akala. So basically what we're learning here is, whenever you have any one letter word, fa is actually a word. It's one letter, but it's a word. Wa is actually a word. You write the one letter word when you connect it with the next word, connected to the next word. You have to write it together as if it's connected into one word. So I'll give you a sample here. Wa plus sha, ri, ba. You write wa, sha, ri, ba. And you say, well, wait a minute, they're not written together. Why aren't they written together? Because wow doesn't connect. But there's no space. So imagine you're typing on a computer program. You do not put a space here. And this is a very common mistake that many people make. I've seen master's thesis in Arabic where what they do is they write the wow and then they put a space and then the next word goes on to the next line. Now you say, well, why is it such a big deal? You put a space, you don't put a space. It's a big deal because as Muslims, right, if you're in our CIS program, by the end, if you do the entire degree and you want to graduate, you're going to be using hadith and Quran search engines. And when you're searching for something, this is a common mistake among even Muslim scholars. They're searching for a hadith, and they're looking for a hadith which says, where the Prophet said, you know, وَذَهَبَ إِلَى something, and they look for ذَهَبَ, and the search engine is looking for the entire word, and it skips it. And automatically they say, well, this hadith, it doesn't exist in this book, because I used the search engine. But they didn't use the search engine correctly because they forgot that these two letters are connected. Right? So that's all there is. It's not a big deal right now, but by the time you graduate, you got to get this down. Okay? So we'll take a break here for Maghrib, inshallah, and we'll come back after the prayer, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Losing more hair? You losing the hair? Hey Ali, can you lead? If Sheikh's not here. Yeah. It's all practice. If you need a helper, let us know. We'll get you. See it? Yeah, just copy door top before she
This one,
Okay, so we start in less than 1 minute, inshallah. So grab your stuff and make your way to the table.
So fasting Friday just by itself is not allowed, but if you do it for a reason like it coincides with your 13th, 14th, 15th that you're normally doing, or it coincides with some other day, or you fast Friday for another day next to it, like Thursday or Saturday, then it's okay.
So like my Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, that'll work as long as you're not doing Friday by itself.
Yeah, you don't really keep have the memory card or something.
All the time.
Yeah. Most of them.
Most inshallah. Remind me if I forget.
Okay.
Inshallah. Full screen is better? A little bit better. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's continue. So we're done with one letter words and almost finished with this preliminary matters here. The other ligature is the way that we write the name of Allah. So the way we write the name of Allah is, if you just look at this is the way it's pronounced. Hamzatul Wasl, Fatha, Lam with the Shadda and a Fatha on it, and then Alif, and then a Ha, and then you can change this to Dhamma or Kasra or Fatha or whatever. So it would be Allahu. This is the way it should be written if you were to write the letters according to the chart that you have. But instead, the way it's written is this way. You simply look at this and you copy it. You write the alif, and then you make a lam, another lam, you bring it up and you make the ha, you put the shadda here, you put the standing alif, the standing fatha, which I told you I'm going to talk about again. But this all you need to know simply is that when you write the name of Allah, when you write the word Allah, you write it like this, even though it should have been written like this. Simple as that, nothing else to do. Okay. Moving on, numbers. Okay, numerals. So these are the numbers in Arabic. This is the number 1. This is the number 2. The number 3. The number 4. The number 5. What does the number 5 look like? Looks like a ha or a 0. It looks like a 0. So you know what's going to happen to you in the beginning? You're going to accidentally start writing 0s and 5s and confusing them. Just be careful about this. I'm warning you. Then you got a 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 0 is a dot. So how do you write these? How do you write these numbers? Forget about correct practice. You go up to down. You can start from here, and bring it down. Start from the top right, make the signs and then bring it down. Start from the top, bring it down. Start from the top, go around. Start from the top left, move to the right, down. Start from the top left, or maybe the top right. To be honest, I don't even know. Pick one, and then ask the calligrapher. And then for the 9, you make the 9. The dot, you don't really have any options on this one anyways. So these are the numbers. So what we want to do is we want to practice. So how does this work? So for example, if you wanted to write the number, so numbers in Arabic, we said Arabic is written from right to left, right? But when it comes to numbers, it's actually read exactly the same way you would read it in English. So you don't switch the numbers around. So 29, you're going to write a 2 on the left side and a 9 on the right side. You're not going to flip it around or anything like that. Okay, so it's written exactly the same way. So let's take a sample here. Number 5. Okay, we got the number 5. How do we write the number 5? Well, let's take a look here. We just write. There you go. That's the number 5. We got the number 5. Okay. What's next? So why did I pick number 5, by the way? No, actually, 5 prayers a day, right? Some kind of significance, some underlying meaning there, right? Number 12. So you write a 1 and you write a 2. So you see a 1 and you see a 2. So what do? You write them together. So you write 1 and then you write 2. So you got the number 12. Very simple. Why did I pick 12? 12 months in a year, exactly. Why do you think I picked 29? 29 days in a month, right? How about 114? We want to write 114. So we write 1, 1, and look back. Where's number 4? Oh, there's a 4. So we write this thing. 4. 114, or you could just make that thing. All right, so what does that 4 look like? Looks like a backwards 3, right? So that's also going to confuse you. But 114. Why did I pick the number 114? Number of surahs in the Quran, exactly. Okay, I'm giving you the easy ones. Right? So let's try a tough one. 6236. All right, I want you to try that on your own and write right now. Write down the number 6236. Who can tell me why I picked that number? No one knows that one, huh? Because nobody took the Quran 2 class except 2 people who took the class, but you guys are not allowed to answer. Anyone else know? Number of verses in the Quran, yes. No, according to the most popular accounting. All right, so write that down, 6236. You do it on your paper. I'm going to do it on my paper. I even forgot how to write the 6. Okay. 6. Yeah. The names of the letters? No, not the names of the numbers. No, not right now. We'll learn that later. And using numbers is actually one of the most difficult things in Arabic. So that's going to be taught in Arabic 3. That we're going to learn in Arabic 2. It's very difficult. So most Arabs can't do it correctly, by the way. They just throw a random number. The grammar is all off. It's way, way off. Okay, is this what you got? This is what you should have got. 6, 2, 3, 6. Okay, this is how you write the numbers. Quite simple. 622. Let's try this last one. 622. So just look at the numbers here. 6, 2, and 2. Okay. Who can tell me why 622? Number of surahs in the Quran? 114. We did that one. What number of letters in some random surah? I would love for you to tell me that one. Huh? First revelation? Is it 622? 610. Actually, so you're close. 610 was the first revelation. So you were close, but 622 is something different. Prophet died in 622. So revelation was 610, and he died 12 years after revelation. Hijrah. There you go. His migration to Medina marks the Islamic calendar. Exactly. Okay. If you didn't get that, you should enroll in Life of the Prophet class, History 1 CIS class, coming soon. Coming in September. Enrollment is open right now. You can just go in the back and enroll right now. All right, 622. Hopefully you got it right. Let's move on. That's how you write the numbers. Very simple. Now you can even write. You can do your math now. You can do 7 plus 3, and you can start writing all the addition, the numbers out. So now you can write numbers. Great. Now when you're going through the Quran and someone says, so pick up one of those copies of the Quran, the Mus'haf, and start practicing. Ask someone to throw out a number. And he's going to throw out the number, okay, 372. See if you can find 372, the page, real quick. And use more practice, the more practice. Somebody throws out 796. Are you going to be able to find it? No, you won't, because there's not more than 600 pages in the Quran. So you won't be able to find that. But anything under 600, you should be able to find, right? Okay, moving on. Now, put everything together, and we see if we can read this, and if we can write this. Okay, this is going to be obviously your homework. Take home homework. This is the goal where you want to get to. But let me give you a warning. Don't look at it. Don't get intimidated. Don't get all freaked out. If you can't read this right now, you don't need to drop the class. Because I'm going to teach you a very simple rule. And that is every word that we learn from now on, starting in the next chapter, all you need to do is this. So if I give you this new word, which we're going to be getting, and I say, and we start moving fast, and I say, okay, you need to memorize this word, which is kitab. And I'll write it for you like this, and I want to see kitabun. And you're like, I'm still not getting this tanween, I'm still having a problem. You just do this simple, cool little thing. You take the word kitabun on your paper, and you actually write in English the transliteration, ta, that's a long vowel, bun, right? And you keep on going as we move along. You keep memorizing the vocabulary. You do a little bit of the homework here. You're going to struggle a little bit with the homework, but you keep up with the class by putting this little cheating, writing on your paper. So in case you're like, okay, I can't keep up, I can't even read these words, just write it in English and move on and keep practicing your thing, and you have like a week or 2 weeks or something to catch up. So you don't need to panic, you'll be okay. Just write the transliteration down for yourself. It's like a little cheat sheet, okay, in case you can't get it. But in case you can get it and you want to practice, within 2 weeks, you should be reading this fluently. Slowly, but fluently. So let's take a look and see if we can actually read this. Very slowly, let's read this. Inna awwala, and that's a hamzatul wasl, right? And you skip that. So inna awwalan nasi yuqda. What is that letter? That's alif maqsura, right? Yuqda yawmal qiyamati alayhi rajulun. Don't worry about this. Tushhida fa utiya bihi fa'arrafahu ni'amahu fa'arafaha qala fama amilta fiha qala qataltu fika hatta stushhidtu qala kadhabta that should be a, sorry, that's a mistake. That should be a standing fatha. وَلَكِنَّكَ قَاتَلْتَ لِأَنْ يُقَالَ جَرِيءٌ فَقَدْ قِيلَ ثُمَّ أُمِرَ بِهِ فَسُحِبَ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ حَتَّى أُلْقِيَ فِي النَّارِ So you should be able to read this entire thing. You just keep on practicing all your rules. This combines everything. This is a statement of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Right? It's a very important statement talking about the first 3 people to enter the fire of hell on the Day of Judgment. The first person, the person who was martyred and died in the path of Allah fighting, and that person says, you know, I fought for you, O Allah, and Allah says, no, you lied, you fought in order to be called a brave person. So your intention was wrong, and the person is going to go to hell. The second person is someone who learned knowledge, studied Arabic and studied the Quran and read the Quran and taught the Quran even. And this person only did it in order to be shown amongst the people for pride reasons, to be popular, and therefore they're going to be thrown into the fire. And the third person is the one who donated a lot of wealth and donated a lot of money, but they did it so that people would call them generous. And the intention was wrong, and they were hypocritical, and therefore they're also going to be there. So may Allah protect us from these categories of people. This is a very nice hadith. I like this in Sahih Muslim. So it's a good reminder for all of us to keep our intentions sincerely for the cause of Allah, for the for earning the pleasure of Allah. So practice this, keep on practicing, and let's move on to chapter 1 of the actual stuff we want to get to. All right. Any questions on writing at all? Remember, if you don't got the writing down, practice this whole weekend, keep on practicing, get a tutor, get someone to help you, but you're going to be okay as long as you can keep up with chapter 1. Okay? So let's start with chapter 1. So first we're going to read the vocabulary to make sure we got it down. Okay, so the vocabulary, read with me, we start from top right. Because remember, we read right to left. So these are the words that we're going to be memorizing for this chapter. Let's read this. Bayt. Bayt means house. Bayt means house. Right? So after you leave this place, you're going to be going to your bayt. Right? And every time, how many of you come from your bayt over here to class? Okay, so you don't work, right? The ones who are not coming. Those who come from work, they're coming from somewhere else. Those who come from their bayt, they're not coming from their work. So we got the word bayt down. Rajul. Rajul. Who's a rajul here? Raise your hand if you're a rajul. Thank you. All the rajuls, very much. All right. How many of you have a rajul in your home? That lives in your home? Any rajuls live in the home? Yes, rajuls live in the home. Very good. All right. Kitab. Kitab means book. So kitab, who actually has a kitab in front of them? Anyone has a kitab? So he has a kitab in front of him. Who has a kitab at home? Who has lots of kitabs in their bookshelf? That's very good. All right. So we got the kitab. Walad is a boy or a child. The semicolon means it could have 2 different meanings. So it can mean boy or it can mean child. How many of you have a walad in your home? You got a walad in the home? Okay. Very good. All right. Masjid. Masjid is a mosque. This is where we are. We are inside the masjid, or we're part of the general masjid here. Talib is a student. Who is a talib here? Raise your hand if you're a talib. Thank you. Hello, all talibs. Very good. All right. Bab is a door. When you're done with this class, you're going to exit through the bab. This just helps you to practice the word. So you can exit through the bab. When you enter this classroom, you have to enter through the bab. Exactly. Ustad is the teacher. Right? So Ustad is sitting behind you or in front of you? Sitting in front of you. So I am the Ustad. So from now on, you can call me Ustad if you like to practice your word Ustad. Right? Qalam. Qalam is a pen. Who's holding a qalam right now in their hand? Got a qalam? Very good. Right? Ma. Ma is water. Who has ma in front of them? Who drank ma in the last 5 minutes? Last 5 minutes? Last hour, who drank some ma? Very good. Okay, so we got ma down. Hajar. Hajar is rock. It's a rock. So I can't think of an example. So Nahar is a river. Nahar is a river. Alright. Who makes a nahar when they're performing wudu? Because they use too much water. Anyone have that problem? Okay. Qamar. Qamar is that thing that we were just fighting over in Ramadan. Remember that? So that qamar thing, that this masjid is going with one qamar and the other one's going with the qamar, and say no, it's different qamar. Qamar means moon. And we have Jabal, which is a mountain. Jabal is a mountain. So I can take an example as well. Alright, so we got these vocabulary words. This is just to read them. You're going to memorize these over time. Over time meaning by Tuesday. Alright. Vocabulary, the word hadha. Hadha means this. If I point to something and if I say, look, what is inside hadha? Ma, exactly. Okay, you got it. And if I say ma, what is hadha? Qalam, exactly. We got it. So we're getting the vocabulary down. Ma means what? So if someone's staring at me, I say ma. Ma. Or you can we'll learn how to use ma in a sentence, all right? Zalika means that. So hadha and zalika, something that's distant. And man means who. Right? Man means who. So we'll learn how to use that in a sentence as well. So see this little standing thing right here? This standing fatha, I told you I'd come back to it again. All this means, you see how you write this? Ha, za. So actually, this should have been written like this. It should have been written ha, za. But instead, what happened? We put this thing to substitute for this alif. So we remove the alif and we put this here. Everything else is the same. Za. Ha, za. It should have been this, but instead it's this. That's all that little standing thing means. Okay? Same thing with zalika. Zalika should have had an alif after the zal, but it doesn't. It just has this standing thing. So zalika. And don't say zalika. Don't say haza. Haza and zalika. Alright, that's it. So that's the vocabulary. Now let's actually learn what we do with these things. So the indefinite noun. So a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. So a person, for example, is a man, or a woman is a person. A place, a city is a place. A thing, a mosque is a thing. Masjid is a thing. And an idea. Islam is like an idea. So religion or something like that. So whenever you're talking about a word, like when you're talking about a vocabulary list, you just pronounce the word with a sukoon at the end. So this is the way we did this, right? When I said this word, kitab, you saw I put a sukoon at the end, right? That's when we're learning vocabulary, we say kitab with sukoon. We say walad with the sukoon, talib with the sukoon. But when you're actually using it in a sentence, you're usually not going to put a sukoon at the end. Because many words, they don't just end with a sukoon, but they're supposed to have some kind of ending. So usually you can find these words, they have a tanween at the end. And whenever you put a tanween at the end of one of these nouns that we just learned, this vocabulary list, it actually gives the meaning of what's called indefinite. Indefinite in Arabic is called nakira. So when we learn this word, right, we learn bayt is house, right? But how do you say a house, right, with the a, right? How do you say a house? Like this is a house, right? That's what's called indefinite. When you say a house, are you talking about a specific house or just some random house? It can be any random house. If you say this house, it's specific. If you say the house, it's specific. If you say my house, it's specific. If you say a house, it's not specific, that's called indefinite. Okay? So that's what an indefinite thing is. So that's what a noun is. When you're talking about a word, okay, so I mentioned this already. So kitab, we say sukoon on there, that's fine. So moving on. So when you put a tanween on the last letter of a noun, it indicates that the noun is indefinite. Okay, so let's take an example. Let me see. So we saw the word kitab. We said kitab means book. Kitabun. See this tanween? Kitabun means a book. Where did the a come from? By adding this un at the end, you get a. You make this noun indefinite. So kitabun. So moon is qamar. How do you say a moon? Qamarun. Exactly. You just add the un at the end. Talib is student. How do you say a student? Talibun. Walad is child. How do you say a child? Waladun. Right? So that's all it is. Very, very simple, nothing difficult. And that's why we want to make it indefinite. If it was definite, it's called ma'rifa. You say this book, the book, or her book. We will learn all of that later. Right now we're just learning how to say a book, a pen, a student, a mosque. So masjid is a mosque. Masjid is mosque. How do you say a mosque? Masjidun. Exactly. That's it. Okay? That's all there is to it, and now you get the homework. So let's see. You make the following words into indefinite nouns by adding a tanween with the dhammas at the end. So try this. Write it down with all of the vowels and the signs, and then write the translation. So write the Arabic down. Put all the vowels with the signs and the tanween and everything, and then write the translation. Tell me what it means. Okay, so just do the first three. I'll give you a moment to do that right now, while I drink some ma. Who needs more time? Everyone's done. Okay, good. All right, so number one, you should have written, I'll show you exactly what you should have done. You should have written wa, la, dun. Translation, a boy, or it could also mean a child. Exactly. That's what you would write. Even one or the other is fine. So waladun, a child. Number two, babun. What is the translation? A door. Babun, a door. Number three, ustadhun, a teacher. Good. Let's try number four. Ma'un, a water. Would you say a water? No, because you just don't say it like that in English. You just say water. But water meaning like some water. Not the water, not my water, not this water, but water in general. So you don't have to say a water. If you say a water, then we will start a English grammar class for CIS later on, inshallah. All right, so just water. But the meaning is indefinite. So it's the indefinite meaning of water. Yes.
So the name of home that's limited to or can we get the meaning of it?
Yeah, for now, you can also make it with tanween, fathas, or kasras, but we'll learn that later. Yeah. Ma'un. You have to write the tanween with the two dhammas on the hamza. Ma'un, and it will be water. Translation is water. Okay. So the rest is going to be homework for you. Let's move on. Now, remember what I told you. Which one is easier, translating from Arabic to English or vice versa? Which one is easier? Arabic to English is easier. So now we go with the tougher one. Right? See if you can do it from memory, and if you can't, that's fine. But if you can do it from memory, this is a test of your memory. See how good you got it down. Do the first three, which happen to be almost the same, some of them. Right? So you translate it into Arabic. So you're going to look at this. You're going to look at a door. You're going to write down this a door in Arabic, and you're going to write down all the vowels. If you write down, for example, ba, ya, ta, and then I see a kasra on the ba, and it says bitun, it means you didn't get the word correctly. And you say, oh, well, I didn't put the vowels, but that's what I meant. You need to test yourself by writing the vowels, okay? Because it's baytun, it's not bitun. So remember that. So write down do the first three. Who needs more time? MashaAllah. Okay. Number one, we should have got this. Ba, bun. Make sure you write your dhammas either like this, either like your tanween, either like this, or like this, or you could write two of them like this. All of these ways are correct. Okay. So, babun. Number two, masjidun. Number three, ma'un. And the way you should have written ma'un, ma'un. Yes. No. So the thing is, when it comes to these, good question. So he's saying, well, can we just, what if I did this, right? So standing like this, right? Yeah. So this standing fatha, it's not something you have the choice of using. It's used in some words and it's not used in some words. You're only allowed to use it in the words which it's already there. So the only words we know so far, hada, zalika, nothing else. So these are the only ones that use it. So it's more that the word uses it rather than you wanting to write it that way. Okay. Same thing with the alif maqsura. So if you want to write Musa with the alif, you're not allowed to do it. You have to write Musa with alif maqsura. It's just the way it is. You want to write Mustafa, you cannot just put an alif. Say, oh, I decide alif and ya, same thing. No, you have to write it with alif maqsura. Yeah, that's just the way it's written. And there's a reason, there's a wisdom behind it. But I won't. It's an advanced topic. All right, so indefinite noun. Yes.
The ma, can you omit the fatha if you're writing the alif?
Yeah. So if you're writing ma'un, can you just skip the fatha on the top of the meme? Technically, you can, because it has to be fatha no matter what. So you can go ahead and skip that, and there's no problem. Okay. Moving on. That's the indefinite noun. So that's how we make a noun indefinite. Now we learned something called the demonstrative pronoun. Who's ever heard of the demonstrative pronoun before? You've heard demonstrative pronoun before? Before you studied Arabic or after you studied Arabic? after you study Arabic, right? That's because nobody learns these grammatical terms anymore. But these are all English words actually. So the demonstrative pronoun simply means this or that. This, that. So what does that mean? It demonstrates something. It's indicating something. So that's what a demonstrative pronoun actually is. The word this is a demonstrative pronoun. This is known as ismul ishara in Arabic. And you just indicate something with it. So whenever something is near, you're going to say this. So if this pen is in front of me, I'm going to say this pen. Right? If this pen is farther away from me, this qalam is far, I'm going to say that pen. So this is used to refer to things which are near, and that is used to refer to things which are distant. Now if you say, well, what's the distance between them? How far do they have to be? 2 feet, 3 feet, 5 feet? It's all relative, right? Like I said, remember, for the Arabs, when you're writing the shadda and you want to put a kasra underneath, you know, that putting the kasra under the letter, it was too much zalika. It was too far for them. So like that. So we're just going to put the kasra there. So it's all relative on what is near and what is far, but that's the difference between the two. So you get this and you get that. So the word for this and the word for that is hadha is this, zalika is that, right? Both of them have a definite meaning. So when you say this, it automatically you're talking about something specific. So it has the meaning of being definite rather than indefinite. So we talked about kitabun, a book. This, you don't say a this or something. It's something specific. Okay. So that's all we need to know for now. So if you're pointing at something and you say, well, no, what are you talking about? I'm talking about haza. I'm talking about this. Or I'm talking about zalika. Talking about that. Moving on. So how do we connect these words which we just learned into making a sentence? So we're going to make something called a nominal sentence. A nominal sentence, which is known as jumla ismiya in Arabic, it's a sentence which begins with a noun. So that's any sentence which begins with a noun, as opposed to something which begins with the verb. So this is what we're going to do. Remember, start from right to left. Huh? Take the word hadha. What does hadha mean? It means this. Take the word kitabun. Kitabun means a book. So these two things we know. We know hadha means this. We know kitabun means a book. You write them together and you say hadha kitabun, and you get a complete sentence, which means this is a book. So what happened here? The word is got inserted in the middle between these two words. That's exactly what happened. So when you combine these two words together, hadha and kitabun, you say hadha kitabun, automatically you get the word is coming in there. You don't need to use the word is. You don't need to add an extra word. This is just the way the sentence works in Arabic. This is the way it's structured. Okay. Another way to think about it, if you want to visualize the sentence like an equation, right? If you're mathematically inclined or you're engineering major or something like that, this might help you. So you got hadha and kitabun. You write them together and you got this equal sign coming in between. So just imagine hadha equals kitabun. This is a book. This sentence that we're talking about here, the first part of the sentence, of the nominal sentence, is called the subject or the mubtada. This is the subject of the sentence. This is the predicate of the sentence. The subject of the sentence is the thing that you're talking about. So when you say hadha kitabun, you're talking to someone. Say, hey, I want to explain something to you. Hadha qalamun, right? Or hadha kitabun. What is the thing you're focusing on? The hadha. That's the subject of the sentence. That's what you're trying to talk to them about. What are you telling them? The predicate means the information you're giving them. So I want to tell you about hadha. Hadha is a what? It's a qalamun or it's a kitabun. So you're giving someone information, that's called a predicate. You don't need to know all these grammatical terms. Don't go crazy over them. You just need to know how to write the sentence and what it means. So that's all it is. And what you do is visualize these boxes. Hadha kitabun. I want you to change the word kitabun to another word that we just learned. Pick a word, any word. Okay. More clear, I can't hear anyone clearly. Baytun, I heard baytun. Okay, so you put the word baytun here and you get the sentence hadha baytun, which means this is a house, right? Yes.
So, because there's no actual is, like it translates to is, right?
Yes. It translates to is without needing to put the word. Yes, so literally, when you look at the words, you're saying this, a house. But when you write them together and you put this tanween and all that, it automatically fits in. Yeah, that's just the way it works. Right? So you plug it in. So imagine, so what I want you to think of this as like almost like a puzzle, where you're plugging in different words that have the same form. So what's a word that resembles hadha that we learned? Zalika. Right? So you substitute the word hadha for zalika in this sentence. What do you get? Zalika kitabun. So what does zalika kitabun mean? That is a book. Exactly. How do you say that is a pen? Zalika qalamun. That's it. Simple as that. And now what you can do is you could take any demonstrative pronoun, even a new one. If we learn a new one, the plural, for example, if we learn the word these, you can substitute that in here. You can take any noun and substitute in here, and you can make a complete sentence, and you know exactly how the sentence functions. You know the meaning of it. That's it. So it's very simple. Let's do some practice. Read the following sentences out loud. These are complete sentences, by the way. Rewrite them with all of the vowels and the signs, and then write down the translation. So I'll do number one with you as a practice. So you look at number one, you look at it, and you see there's no vowels in there. So you're probably going crazy. Oh my God, how can I read without vowels? But you can read that now. You can read that because it can only be one thing. You know that now. So what you do is you go to your scratch pad, your notepad, and take a look. Where'd it go? See this? I'm going to write this with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to write this word. So this is what we have. Now I need to put the vowels on it. So what vowels do I put on it? First, on the ha, what do I put? The standing one. Right? Remember I told you the standing one? What do I put on this one? Fatha. What do I put on this one? Nothing. Good. Waw, lam, dal. So I write waw, space or no space? No space. Lam and dal. What do I write on the waw? Fatha. What do I write on the lam? Fatha. What do I write on the dal? Well, I want to make a complete sentence. Write a noon on top of it? Okay, I'll write a noon. Tanween. Okay, tanween. Yes. The dhamma. Tanween. So now I got the sentence. Hadha waladun. I need to write the translation. What is the translation? This is a child or boy. That's it. So do number 2, 3, and 4. Yes. Number 3. Well, if I tell you what it is, then you can't see it. Okay, let me magnify it for you. Does that help? Hamza, Sin, Ta, Alif, Zal. Who needs more time? Okay. If you're done, you can just keep doing your homework actually right now. Smart students. Save time later on. Yes. You mean like a period and stuff like that? Yeah, so you can use a period in modern Arabic. It is used. You just put a period at the end. And if you don't put a period, it's okay too. Because classical Arabic never had punctuation marks. That's why. So. You just know by context. You can just figure it out. Yeah. So. Yeah. Which one? These ones on the bottom? That's Jabal. Qamar. Jabal? It's in your vocab list. Do you have the printed out or no? Jabal means mountain. Yes. What's that? Hamzatul Wasl? Yeah, the Wasla, yeah. What? No, it's not used as a period. No, what that means is so when you take a stop and you take a breath, you're just going to put a sukoon on the end of the word that you're stopping on. So when you restart the following word, you're going to pronounce the Hamzatul Wasl, the Wasla. That's all I meant, but it doesn't act as a period or anything like that. Yeah. You'll see it as we practice. You'll see it coming. Okay, we're good? So hopefully you had number 2, Hadha Babun. Number 3, Hadha Ustadhun. This is a teacher. Number 2, this is a, what is it? Babun? A door, yeah. And number 4, Hadha Ma'un. This is water. Good. All right. So let's exit the magnifier. Okay. And now we go to the more difficult of the two, which is translating into the other language. So translate these sentences into Arabic. Just think how cool this is, by the way. You're already translating sentences into Arabic. It's amazing. Right? You're not going to get this in other classes. All right. So translate into air on the second day of class. Translate into Arabic and write down all the vowels and all the signs. Imagine someone is standing there and giving you these sentences. This is a door. And you want to actually say this to your friend. You write it down. Proper Arabic, on the line, everything. Good to go. Write it down. And what you do is when you're walking out of class today, grab your friend next to you, and right when you're exiting the door, you say, hey, Hadha Babun. He's going to look at you and be like, Ma? You're like, Hadha Babun. Oh, okay.
How do I say? What is the noun again?
ذلك. ذلك. Yes. Right. So, yeah, we'll come to it again. When we learn math properly, I'll show you the difference. Yes. Babun has a alif actually. Normal fatha because the alif gives it the long vowel sound. Yeah. The lam does not connect. No, the lam connects. It's alif, dal, zal, ra, zai, and waw. 6. So lam connects. Yeah. Oh, you know what it is? The lam alif does not connect. That, you know, when you write the separate lam, that one doesn't connect because it's alif. That's why. Yeah, so some people call it za. I've looked at a lot of different books. It seems to be zai. It seems to be zai. So I don't know the history of it. Maybe there's probably some PhD thesis out there that talked about the different ways or whatever, but I've seen zai in a lot of places. A lot of people say za. Whenever I've seen it written out completely, I've just seen zai. So maybe both are correct. It could be. Yeah.
What's always confused me with words, when they're male or female. So in this case, none of these words have a gender.
These words have a gender. Since we haven't learned female yet, all of these are male. All of these are male. In Arabic, there is no neuter. Everything is male or female. Your car is female, just the way it is. The sun is female and the moon is male. That's just the way it is. So we're going to learn that later on. That's why we're not learning sun in this chapter, because we're focusing on males, and then we're going to learn females afterwards. And you can think of why the sun is female and why the moon is. Come up with all your own imaginary explanations of why that is, and go into the women's studies department in certain colleges, and they can analyze it all day long. But just Arabs just had it that way. So the first three, we're doing the first three, by the way. Who needs more time? We're ready? Okay, number 1. This is a door. Haza babun. Number 2, that is a mosque. Zalika masjidun. This is water. Haza ma'un. Very good. That's it. So you just walk around to people and say, hey, haza ma'un. Oh, mashallah. Just keep having talks like this. All right. It'll get more interesting, but this is your practice. This is the way you practice. Just walk up to people and just say, hey, I just wanted to tell you something. Haza ma'un. And they say, thank you so much for telling me that. I want to tell you something too. Haza qalamun. And zalika masjidun. That's your practice, and you're good to go. All right, let's move on. You had a question, Ali?
Previous one that I worked.
Let's leave it. Okay. So question sentences. Now we want to make a question. So if you want to form a question, you're going to use what's called an interrogative noun. Okay, ismul istifham. And you don't need to know any of these terms. Interrogative noun or even ismul istifham. If you want to, great. These are all grammatical terms. So in contemporary Arabic usage, whenever you use a interrogative noun or a question word, you usually put a backwards question mark. All right. So if you don't put it, it's fine. But usually, that's why I said you could put a period. We use periods and we use backwards or reverse question marks in modern Arabic. In classical Arabic, there are no question marks. This is something that's just pretty modern. It helps you to understand a little bit. So the word ma means what? Now, what's the difference between the word ma? The difference between ma and ma. There's a hamza at the end. So water is ma with the stop, where you stop your breath. Ma. And the other one is ma. Ma. You don't bring your breath back down and put a. There's no at the end. It's just ma. Leave your mouth open. The other one is your back, your throat, kind of the back of your mouth restricts, constricts. You say ma and you stop it. Ma. Just like I said. Oh. See the that see how what happens to your throat? Same thing. Ma, and you stop it. Ma. The other one, this one, the question mark is ma. Just ma. You let the breath flow. Ma. You just stop it. Yeah. So that's the difference. So sometimes when you're listening, it's going to be hard, but context will usually tell you. So if someone says, "Hey, ma," no one's going to say water, right? They're asking you a question, right? So unless the guy's thirsty or something, but you'll be able to figure it out usually, right? So ma is a question. Some things to know about questions. That's it. That's all we need to know about question words. If you want to make a complete sentence, you can add the word this afterwards in order to make a proper question. But here's the one rule. The question word, the interrogative noun, the question word, almost always comes at the beginning of the sentence. So let's say we want to say, what is this? Right? So which one is going to come first according to the rule? Do we put the haza first or the ma first? The ma first. Why? Because of the rule I'm telling you. Don't say, well, because in English it came first. It's not a good explanation. Alright? Because it could be reversed in Arabic. The reason is the question word usually comes first. Almost always comes first. Okay? So if we want to say, what is this? Say ma hadha. If you want to say what is that? Ma dhalika. Right? So I can ask you a bunch of questions now. If I say, hey, ma hadha, answer the question. Dhalika qalamun. Good. But I ask you ma hadha. So you should say hadha. But since you're far, you're saying dhalika, right? Okay, then it's fine. You got it. If I say ma hadha, dhalika ma'un. If I say ma dhalika, okay, dhalika babun, that's true. Ma hadha. Hadha masjidun. This is a masjid, it's a mosque, right? Exactly. That's how you ask a question. Ma hadha and ma dhalika. And that's it. Very simple as that. So now, there's one more way to ask a question. And that is, you say, when you're talking about rational beings, like people, human beings, for example, you don't say ma. You say man. So like, for example, if in English, right, if I'm talking about Ali, I don't say, hey, what is that? That would be very disrespectful, right? You say, who is that? Because it's a person. Same thing in Arabic. So instead of saying ma, you say man. Man instead of ma. So what is used for other life forms, inanimate objects, ideas, animals, things like that. But man is used for people. So if you're walking up to someone and you're asking, hey, who is this? You don't say ma hadha. You say man hadha, right? And if you walk up to water and you say, hey, man hadha. No, because this is a object. So you say ma hadha. So ma is for inanimate objects, and man is for rational beings, right? Like human beings. Okay. So what is that's a wrong translation. It should be who. It should be who. So man zalika, who is that? Man hadha, who is this? That's it. Okay. Now we're gonna put all of this together, and we're gonna read these questions out loud, and then you're gonna look at the picture. And I know it's really bad clip art, but this is what Google, got for me when I did a Google image search. This is what we had, and you're gonna try and figure out the Arabic sentence. So you're gonna look at the question, and you're gonna answer the question in Arabic. All right. So let's do number one together. All right. Man hadha. No, but you. So you're not far. So if you see hadha, you respond with hadha. Okay. So man hadha. Hadha talibun. Right. Talibun. So that's a student, as you can see. So that's it. Hadha talibun. So do number 2, 3, and 4. But write it down. Write it down. Number 3 is a man, in case you didn't get it. Number 4 is a cup of water. Don't say cup though, just water. Who needs more time? We got it? Okay, number 2. ما ذلك؟ ذلك بيت. 3. من ذلك؟ ذلك رجل. And you have to translate it, by the way. So that is a. Did it say translate or no? It doesn't. Okay, that's fine. Number 4. ما هذا؟ هذا ماء. Very good. Okay, so that's it. And we'll take a break now for a prayer, and we'll come back after prayer. So what you do is after prayer, we're gonna come right back. Start practicing. So start asking people questions, and even if you don't know it, just answer with English. So say, hey, ما هذا? Say, هذا clock. ما هذا? ما هذا? هذا camera. Right? It still will trigger your memory, and you'll start getting used to Arabic. Okay? Assalamu alaikum.
It shouldn't be easy. It's the screen itself. It's not it's like the projection itself. It's not the screen. Yeah, it's the projection itself. So I'll bring it up for this next guy. I don't well, there's
You want to make the screen bigger? Yeah. I don't think that's possible because to do that, I need to do unless there's a zoom in out function on
Okay, let's get settled so we can restart, inshallah.
Try to finish. Yeah, I will. I will. Why? You put a time? No. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. So we're done with this one. The rest is going to be homework, exercise 1.5. Moving on to exercise 1.6. So now look what you got to do. You look at the answer and you got to write the appropriate question. Keep in mind when to use ma and when to use man. When to use hadha and when to use dhalika. So number one, let's take a look at number one. The answer, imagine someone is talking and then the person responds as dhalika walad, dhalika waladun. What could the question have been? There's only one option. What did the person ask? Man dhalika. Who is that? And then the guy answered, dhalika waladun. So the only question that could be correct here is man dhalika. So you're supposed to come up with the correct question to the answer that's already there in the sentence. So you do number 2, 3, and 4 on your own and see if you can get it. Go straight to YouTube.
I could.
Oh, it's going on my computer right now. Leave it. Who needs more time? Okay, so what we're going to do is, number 2, the brother's side are going to ask the question, the sisters are going to answer the question. Okay, so all brothers together, number 2. What is the question for the sisters? Ma dhalika. The sisters answer? Dhalika babun. Good. Now the sisters ask, number 3, the question to the brothers. The question is? Man hadha. The brothers answer? Hadha ustadhun. Right? Which means what? This is a teacher. Good. And the brothers ask number 4 to the sisters? Ma dhalika. The sisters answer? Dhalika ma'un. Very good. That's it. Do the rest at home. So let's do a quick grammar review. What grammar did we actually learn in the class today? Number 1, what is a noun? So a noun refers to a person, place, thing, or idea. There is also something called a verb, which is an action, right? And there's a preposition. So there's 3 main things we're going to learn. Right now we just learn nouns. Hadha is a noun. Ma, even question words are nouns in Arabic. Ma is a noun. Man is a noun. Kitab is a noun. Bait is a noun. Nahr is a noun. All of these things are nouns. So we learn all of these nouns in this section. We only learn nouns. We didn't learn anything else. When a tanween is suffixed to the last letter of a noun, it indicates that the noun is indefinite. So when you say kitab, it means book. When you say kitabun, a book. Masjidun, a mosque. Ma'un, water. Good. All right. By placing 2 words together in a nominal sentence, the is automatically inserted in between. So if I say, what does hadha mean? This. What does kitabun mean? A book. What does hadha kitabun mean? This is a book. So the is comes in. The first part of the nominal sentence is called the subject, and it's usually definite. So is hadha kitabun? The first part is the subject. Is hadha definite? Yes, it is. While the second part is called the predicate, and it's usually indefinite. Hadha kitabun. The second part is kitabun, it's a predicate. Is kitabun indefinite? Yes, it is. So it's usually indefinite. The subject almost always comes first, and the predicate almost always comes after. So hadha kitabun, subject, and then predicate. The question word what almost always comes at the beginning of the sentence. So if you say ma dhalika, did the question word come first? Yes, it did. Okay, that's all the grammatical rule. And one last one. The word who is used when you're asking about rational beings. So do you say ma hadha and you say hadha rajulun? No. You say man hadha rajulun. Okay. These are the grammatical rules. This is vocabulary review. So without looking down, without looking at your notes, see if you can remember some of the words. And what you're going to do, you're not going to remember all of them if you just started with scratch. You're going to want to go back to this again and test yourself. Go back again and test yourself. And then what's going to happen is your mind will automatically memorize this chart, exactly the locations of where the Arabic words are, and you have to rewrite it on paper in different, in a different order to test yourself. So test yourself, see if you got it or not. Don't say it out loud. I'm going to say a word. Don't say it out loud. Say it to yourself and see if you got it down or not. Okay? Door. Say it to yourself. Who got it right? Babun. Bab. Good. Rock. Hajar. Who got that? Okay, see the number of hands went down. So you need to practice hajar. What about teacher? Ustad. Who got it? All right, good. So practice this way. Keep on practicing your words is very, very important. Book. So just say, everyone say it together. Book. Kitab. Mountain. Jabal. Moon. Qamar. Man. Rajul. Who? Man. What? Ma. Water. Ma. Right. River. Nahar. Pen. Qalam. This. Haza. Good. That's it. So we have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is we're done early and we have nothing else to cover right now. The good news is you can go home early and you can start doing your homework right now. It's the good news. Now, if you're struggling, if you're finding difficulty, this is what I recommend. Number one, go straight into the masjid, pray witr, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, number one. That's the first step. Second step is we have certain tutors who we've recruited from the advanced Arabic classes. They're willing to work with you one-on-one. Take advantage of that. Sit down, do your homework, struggle with your homework. If you're really, really lost, you have no idea what's going on, you're looking at the notes, you can't catch up, don't hesitate to reach out, but you have to reach out now. Otherwise, you're going to be behind. So reach out now, email us. We'll get you in touch with a tutor. If you can't meet with them, you can Skype with them. If you can't Skype with them, you can call them on the phone and they can help you over the phone as well. One-on-one, we're offering that the first week or two. And that's it, okay? So inshallah ta'ala, do your homework. Do it on time. It's going to be due on Tuesday, the previous week's homework. And that's it, inshallah. We'll see you next week. Announcement from Brother Jamil. Assalamu alaikum.
Once again, if you guys can all put away your chairs and help me put away the tables as well, I appreciate it very much. Chairs go in the racks and tables get stacked over there.